All right, welcome back to Pax Mithdosica. This session is going to be a little bit different than usual. Probably going to take maybe 2 hours, maybe three, and we do not have Yogi or Heko for today, but that's all right. And we will be picking up where we last left off with Peach. As a dolphin, as you can see, prominently displayed.
Renesmee as a dolphin.
Renesmee, yes, of course, yes. Why are you a dolphin?
Because I have to go get help from the land across the mainland. Because the fort was being sieged by the big bad crow people. Huge big bad crows, weird looking things. Other army things.
All right.
There's no ships.
Yeah.
All those things have been. There's nothing to do. Gotta be a dolphin.
Sounds good to me. A sufficient explanation. Yeah, you have to swim about 35 miles, which is going to take you about 5 hours, which essentially is a full day of travel. So I believe we discussed this last time, but the last time you've been an animal for this long of a period was when you were a cat at Fort Romulus, and that's a bit different because cats are not that different to people. I mean, they're a little bit different, but they're not that different. Now things are very different. You are now a blowhole-having dolphin. You've just swum into the river away from the fort. And instantly, the moment you plunged 10 feet into the water, it became utter darkness. The only thing you were really able to see was the light above you. The gradient of light in this murky water is pretty incredible. But you still have this awareness, and you know what's happening. And your journey begins pretty swiftly at first. As you travel along the coast, you use that as your sort of reference point. You just keep basically one eye, as it were, on the coast, one eye before you. There's all sorts of animals along this coast, but none of them leave the dolphins alone, because in this particular instance, you are essentially an apex predator. There doesn't seem to be any reef sharks here, nothing big enough to terrify you. So for the first 10 miles of your journey, it is actually very uneventful. However, as you reach the end of the isle, you know that somewhere in the distance is the Isle of Breton, about 20 miles. No, I think it's kilometers? No, I'm pretty sure it's miles. 20 miles across a body of water called the Hammer's Fall. Now, let's get a nice little nature or history. I think either works in this case. For what we know about the Hammer's Fall.
And I would roll that off of Renesmee's sheet.
Yeah, because you keep your mental stats.
Okay, one sec. I just had the dolphin sheet up. It's taking forever to load.
That's alright.
Oh, yeah.
No rush.
The island of Breton, is that a part of this larger island?
No. So the Isle of Breton is the one where you met the Vice Admiral. It's where the main city of Red Dinium is. It's a really big island. Whereas Gela is a small satellite island. It's very small. It's 10 miles across. Okay, 12. So the Hammer's Fall is the body of water. Actually, let's go to the world map so we have a bit more context. Feel free to interrupt me if I go ultra robot. Okay. That should work. Boom. Okay, so this is the Hammer's Fall. It separates the two continents of Valoris from one another. And it is notoriously the most dangerous body of water on the planet. Now, you're up here. You're that little green token. So you're not exactly crossing the Hammer's Fall, but you are still within it's sort of...
Can you ping the Hammer's Fall again? I was looking something differently.
Yeah, here. It's the gap between Eastern and Western Valoros.
Did you ping it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh god, I didn't see it. Can you draw on it?
Yeah, I will indeed draw a circle, and I will change the color to green.
Green equals scary.
Sure. Green equals scary. So that's the Hammer's Fall. Do you see it?
No.
Where are you looking?
I'm looking. There's a big purple P sign and a little purple P.
Yeah.
It's
just go to the bottom left.
On the ocean.
Yeah, you may be a bit too zoomed in.
Oh, Whoa!
Yeah.
I was way too soon then. Okay.
So that's the Hammer's
So-
Fall, but it's a pretty large ocean area. So the features of the Hammer's Fall, such as storms, sea monsters, occasional icebergs coming down from the north, all of those still apply to this little smaller area to the west of Breton, which is where you are going. Now, it's not going to be as bad as the actual Hammer's Fall. In the real Hammer's Fall, there are storms which prevented travel between eastern and western Valeros for like 600 years at one point. So it's not going to be that bad, but it's also not going to be good. So I think I guess your intelligence is the same. So yeah, despite your beastly form, you're able to form coherent thoughts. And the only thing you think about is, okay, hopefully there's no sea storm. And about 5 minutes after you've left the coast of Gela Isle, you begin to feel the water shifting around you. And at first, you don't really know what's happening. The current changes, and you feel some sort of... Oh, the journey you're taking... One second. We'll go measure.
Is it a small island?
Yeah, it's the small island. So it's actually much shorter than that. You're just going here. The quickest path of resistance.
Good.
So the water begins to swirl around you in strange ways. And then, as you surface to breathe, you feel rain hit your back. And I think that's around the point where you realize that this is a storm. It's not a bad one. It doesn't seem to be that bad in the grand scheme of things. The water isn't being like thrown around, but you've never felt a storm from underneath the water before. And most smaller creatures, like small little fish that were at the top of the water back near the island, they either recede deeper into the depths, or some begin to float just beneath the surface, like they're waiting for something. And I assume you just attempt to continue on your journey.
My mic is being a little weird. One sec.
Okay.
Hear me? Argon?
Yeah? What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Is there any difference between the fish that are staying at the top and the fish that are going to the bottom?
Yeah, the ones nearing the top are familiar species to you. They seem to be non-predatorial fish. So, like, they don't eat meat ever. Whereas some of the fish near the bottom, they're like opportunist meat eaters.
When I look down below, are they like in calm and peace, or are they kind of like fighting for territory?
No, the ones down
there too?
seem to be excited. They're like it looks almost like, you know, prior to putting food in a fish tank.
But are they like fighting for territory or like leaving?
Not yet. No, right now they're just circling about 30, 40 feet below you and the rest of the prey fish.
I'll probably swim down as well.
Okay.
And then just try my best to avoid getting too close to any of the other predatory fish.
Yeah. Okay. With a click, you continue to echolocate, and at first you think that it's the ocean floor, about 100 feet beneath you. Then you realize that the ocean floor is moving upward. You are less than a mile off the shore of Gela Isle, and yet something so large that it essentially blots out your ability to see is coming up from the depths. You can't visually see it. Light really does not travel that far, especially in stormy conditions where there's no shining sun above. But with your echolocation, you can tell something is coming up from beneath, and that something is very large.
I'm just gonna keep sprinting towards the island.
Okay, I'd like you to make a athletics check with the dolphin sheet. It's just strength, if he doesn't have a specialty in the skill. Okay, you begin to swim away, and even the other predator fish follow you. It seems as if, they're just making an opening for this thing to pass to the surface. And then you do see it. You see the great scales of this thing rocket past you as it goes towards the prey fish gathered near the top. It captures 20 or so in its jaws, and the giant sea serpent crests the water, bursting out a couple of feet and then descending back underneath, where it gets a whole nother school of 20 or so fish and rapidly returns to the depths. Then the predator fish begin to swarm because just the passing of the great serpent has a sort of shockwave moving through the water with it, and many prey fish were thrown into the air, and then when they hit the water again, they're essentially stunned for a few moments, in which the predator fish tear them apart. It's a vicious thing, but it wasn't going for you, not this time anyways. So you continue on your journey.
And luckily I wasn't at the top.
Yeah, that would have been unfortunate.
Yeah, I figured you either want to act like a predator or get eaten like prey.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm glad I went down.
Now I'd like you to make a survival check, because navigating on land with a bunch of landmarks is pretty easy. Navigating in the water with just trying to swim in one straight direction, slightly less easy. Okay, but despite any difficulties or challenges, you keep in your direction and you begin to swim forward. 30 minutes pass. And hours pass. And you get a little bit nervous, and whenever you're getting more air for your breathing, you poke your head above water and look. And at this point, there's no land anywhere within visual range. And so you just continue to swim close to the surface now. Once you get into the deep ocean, there are a lot less fish just like around the surface. Near the shore of Gela Isle, there were tons, but now occasionally you'll see a school of fish headed west or east, but never north or south, and always only one or two schools at a time. And then you hear a click, and it takes, as a dolphin, you instantly recognize what it is, but it takes your Renesmee brain a few seconds to parse it. It is a click of communication from another dolphin, essentially saying, "Is anyone out there?"
I will click back and say, "Yes."
Nothing happens again for a little while, and then there's another click. This one seems to be closer, though still traveling across vast distances in the ocean, and it seems to be almost like saying, "Still there?"
I'm still swimming towards my direction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it can't be nearing on me unless it's faster than I am, right?
No, it could be in front of you, to the right, swimming after you.
Oh, I see. I'll click back one more time and say, "Who are you? And what do you need?"
The message seems to be clear enough, and no further clicks come. You are left alone as a singular dolphin traveling through the ocean. And
click back after a little while and be like, "Sorry, I didn't mean to be unfriendly. I'm just scared."
No further response comes.
Oh, okay.
And this journey is going to take about 5 hours total. It's 6 hours with the added 10 miles. So your first wild shape ends right about now. So instantly your bones constrict and pop, your blowhole shifts into a breathing mouth and lungs develop, and as all of this is happening, you instantly switch back. So it's just like your stride as a dolphin is briefly interrupted, and then you're back into dolphin form. But you are at the halfway point, and the water beneath you is deep. You haven't echolocated the bottom of this ocean since you left Gela Isle, and you don't even know how deep it goes. And then you feel movement beneath you, and you instantly recognize it. It's one of those sea serpents. It's maybe 200 feet below, just circling. It can keep up with you with ease. It has no trouble with that. As far as you can tell, there's no other creatures out here.
That's not good.
Just you.
Am I able to, like, evade it?
Sure. How would you do that?
Like, pretend to swim in one direction and then all of a sudden, like, whoop.
Oh, you want to juke him out if he starts, like, going up to eat you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. Once he tries to eat you, you can make a dex save or something to try to, fake him out.
Well, I just want to continue swimming
Okay.
as hard as I can. I might, like, lower myself a little bit, just, like, to be safe, so if he comes up, I won't get discombobulated.
Yeah, thrown into the air.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the sea worm begins to slowly climb. It's not the same as that ritual of eating. It's more of, well, you don't know. You don't know anything about sea worms, but you do eventually.
Is it a sea worm or serpent?
It's a sea worm, and you eventually get visual contact with it. It's large. Its head is about the size of a horse, and its eyes have a sort of bioluminescence in the darkness, 2 orange orbs socketed in its eyes. However, there's currently no swarms of fish for it to eat on, so instead its great body undulates, and with each sort of whip-like movement of the body, it propels itself hundreds of feet forward, so it easily keeps pace with you, and it seems to be rising, and its eyes are fixed on you. There's an intelligence there, and you almost get the sense that it knows that you're not a dolphin. You don't know how it would ever know that, but it seems to be staring at you with interest and confusion.
It can keep up with me.
Yes.
Is it near me?
It's pretty close, yeah. It's probably about, at this point, it's maybe 60 feet beneath you, just looking up at you through the darkness.
I'll stop swimming for a moment, and I'll look down at it, and make eye contact, and blink.
It stops and looks up at you. Each one of its eyes is, the size of your head. But these 2 great yellow orbs look up at you. The body sort of coils underneath it, undulating side to side to keep it in place. And then you feel these vibrations coming up from the depths. You can't understand them, unfortunately. Whatever form of communication this is, it's not something a dolphin can understand with its little watery ear holes. So instead, you just feel, something vibrations coming up from the depths, and it begins to shake your body. You feel your skin almost tingling and vibrating with the sound coming from beneath. But it's unintelligible to you. It's just, for you, it just sounds like a low drone.
I'll chirp back at it. I'll try to do like a little dolphin sound, just a dolphin song or something. I'll try to chirp to it.
You do several high-pitched clicks. They travel through the water for far distances, but they're not particularly kind on the ear. And after a few moments, the vibrations stop, and you get the sense that the worm has realized the difficulty in this communication, and it begins to swim closer. And as it does so, you see scars. Every single inch of its face and its body are covered with the injuries of living for however long it has, and the hammers fall. The beast is 200 feet long, which, when we get to these really incredible sizes, it's hard to quite imagine. So that is the equivalent of 10 two-story houses, a skyscraper, a 20-story skyscraper, or I think that's about 4 school buses in length. So it tapers off to a point at the very end. So it's not thick throughout the entirety of the trunk, but it does get closer now, and its head is sort of locked onto you. With mostly its eyes are locked onto you, just staring. And once it's about 30 feet away, every instinct in your dolphin body is yelling at you to run, but you know that you can't outpace it with your brain.
Yeah, I think what's going on in Renesmee's brain right now is she is looking at something profound, and she is also very aware that if this beast wants to kill her, then she's dead. Like, if it wanted to eat her, if it made that choice, she would probably die. So, she's like having a like everyone dies. This might be my time, but I'm going to like be curious and treat this with respect and like curiosity. And if it happens, it happens. Like, it's like a humbling experience.
If you die, you die.
Yeah, she's humbled and she understands that, like, it's like Buddhism or like meditation. She's like meditative right now. Like,
Yeah.
this could be the end.
Well, then the serpent is now 20 feet beneath you. You see little bubbles rise from two tiny little nostrils at the tip of the serpent's face. And within its mouth, there are layers upon layers of teeth, some of which poke out, some of which are broken, thousands of little razors. Then the worm propels itself to the surface in this last little burst of energy, traveling maybe 30 feet up, and it just lingers there for a moment, its head above the water, and then after probably taking in some sort of deep breath, its whole body travels through the water, like the traditional serpent drawing where just a part of it travels above the water, and it just begins to descend back into the depths. Whatever interest it found from you, it must have, it checked you out. You did not fall into the prey bucket or the something that's going to hurt it bucket, so you are allowed to go on your way.
I will take a big blowhole full of air. And I will thank Aurelian Sol. Thank you, Aurelian Sol, for keeping me safe. Blessed be to your light. Thank you for overlooking my safe travel. And then I will start fucking sprinting again. Or swimming as fast as I can.
You begin to swim rapidly in the direction of Gela Isle. There's not much longer now. You do the mental math. Only 3 hours left. And slowly, dolphins do experience fatigue just like everyone else. And despite you re-upping your form halfway through, it's sort of reset. Any sort of acid buildup in the muscles that makes them sore. It's still you're starting to feel a little bit of burning in the tail muscle, especially because that's just propelling you forward with such speed.
Oh, yeah.
And then, looking up, you hear a noise when you surface for your next blowhole. Again, dolphin ears are way different to what humans would hear, so I don't think you recognize what it is at first. Mm-hmm. But then you can surface fully just your head and look up, and you see a seagull coming from the east. It seems to be swooping down, trying to catch the occasional fish which strays to the surface. You do not fall into that bucket. You're not quite small enough for a seagull. Mm-hmm. And you follow it. And slowly, you come into sight of a ship. It seems to be a fishing vessel out to ocean. You know well enough that they're not going to go that far from the shore, so you must be close to something. It flies imperial colors, and you can see a crew of maybe 6 or 7 guys on board, reeling up nets filled with squirming fish and little traps with lobsters and crabs.
And how far am I roughly from the shore?
You can't see the shore yet, but if you're seeing fishing ships and seagulls, you must be close, within miles, certainly.
Do I know if it's faster to travel by ship or dolphin?
In this particular circumstance, you poke your head above water, get a vibe of what the wind is like. Likely dolphin mode.
Got it. Well, yeah, I'll take a look at the ship and I'll be like, woo! Right,
yeah, you swim around the ship and one of the sailors points down and you realize now how different your ears are because you can tell that they're speaking, probably in Protonic or Mythos, something that you would be able to understand. And instead it just comes through as this low, drowned pitch of something you can understand. And, one person grabs a fish from the net and tosses it in the water at you.
I surveil the people around there. Are any of them holding like harpoons or weapons?
No.
I'll go and grab a fish, and then I'll do a little dance out of the water. I'll go like, except they don't go nay.
Yeah,
I'll do a little like
you flip up and show off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll just keep swimming shore.
Okay.
Was it a tasty fish? How did the fish taste in this dolphin?
It tasted fine. It's not the best fish. It's a little bit sickly because the types of fish getting caught in like generic net traps are typically not the finest specimen. Most of those can escape from traps. The same doesn't really apply to like lobsters because that's an actual trap. But if you're throwing down a low falling net and you happen to catch something, that thing was not particularly fast or intelligent. That's why dolphins, I mean, not dolphins, octopus sometimes get caught in nets, but it's not like the most common thing in the world. But you leave the fishing boat behind, and within moments you are swimming closer to the shore, and you see it. You see the rainy Isle of Breton. But in the context of Gela Isle, you would never complain about the rain of anywhere else ever again. Gela Isle rained and fogged every single day you were there for weeks. So no place is as bad. And now that you see the coast, you can see 2 or 3 fishing villages. You can see a small little shrine to the Hellion Pantheon built on a hill overlooking this coastline. It's a pretty gradual beachfront, like slowly climbing to the normal height of the island. So what are you doing?
So all I see is 2 little towns and the shrine.
Yeah.
Do I know of things that are typically around shrines, like a Consul Militum house or a church?
Yeah, for Protonic shrines. So this is for the Hellion Pantheon. So there's going to be a priest. There's probably going to be a priest's house or priest quarters or something like that. In terms of government officials, maybe there's quaestor for these 2 villages. You can't tell whether they're large enough to warrant their own quaestor. But if they are, then yeah, they'll have their own government official, like a mayor, basically.
And it would be closer to the shrine?
And be somewhere in the villages.
Okay, yeah, I'll just go towards the villages. I mean, where did I come from again? I came from...
Gela Isle, to the west.
Oh yeah, then I'll swim towards Gela Isle.
Well, wait. Oh, sorry. Where did you come from? You mean where did you go to Gela Isle from? Like the city that you came from?
Yeah, like we got on a ship to go to this shitty-ass island.
Yeah, that was the city of Red
port.
Dinium. But that's going to be somewhere to the southeast. You'd have to swim a lot farther to get there. It's quicker to get there by land. So this is just some random coastline.
Well, going to the coast, I guess.
All right, you approach the long beach. There's a couple of... it seems like all the adults are working, but you see 2 kids, a young girl and an older brother, it looks like, playing in the sand. And you approach the water, and the older brother sees a dolphin, approaching the shore, and he seems surprised, and he's like waving his arms. You can't understand him because of the words, but with his arms waving, you guess he's like telling you not to beat yourself, but you do beat yourself, and then you transform into Renesmee. You're, sort of anamorphs before this guy's view. Your tail splits in half, forming into 2 legs. Your mouth widens and splays wider.
If I see that there are children there, I'll actually transform in the water.
Okay.
Because I don't want them to have to see that.
So it's a woman stepping, like a woman that's soaked with water
like
walking up from the water. Yeah, like a mermaid, but with legs.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But that's cooler than them seeing the traumatic, bone-cracking shape.
Hey, they need to get used to the reality of transformation. It's not what they say in the fairy tales. It's nothing like that.
I want to spare the children.
Well, you turn into Renesmee. You are instantly soaked, and you climb up onto the beach. You basically just emerge from the water. Like it was just, there was some like movement in the surf, and then boom, a fully grown woman emerges. And so the older brother seems just starstruck. He's like very confused and just a little bit in awe. And the little girl looks over, and she just like hides behind her older brother's leg.
I want to like start wringing out my hair and my clothes, and then I'll go, "Son, what is your name?"
He sort of like reaches up and rubs his eyes, like he's trying to confirm that he's seeing what he's seeing. He says, Armand.
Armand. And is that your sister?
He like kind of puts a protective hand over her and says, what are you?
I am a judicial judge. I come here with very important duties, and I need to speak to someone who's in charge here. Do you think that you could take me to them?
You're a judge.
Uh-huh. And I have special powers. I was that dolphin that you saw swimming a second ago. I know.
He sort of like lowers himself a bit and says, Camilla, go tell Dad. And the little girl, 5 or 6, sort of runs off, and this like 12-year-old boy stands defiantly on the beach. He's holding a stick that he was using to like carve stuff into the sand, and he just sort of holds it like a bat, you know, defensively.
You're good to be protective of her. Good job.
When the adults get here, they'll work out what's going on here.
Yes,
Don't get any closer.
I won't.
He
No worries.
gestures with his the little stick he's holding aggressively in your direction.
Yeah, I'll just smile. I'm not at all threatened by him. I want him to know that I respect him.
Yeah, within the nearby fishing village, and by like fishing village, each of these has like 10 or so buildings. The 2 villages are clustered pretty close together. There's no boats along the shore, probably because they're out getting fish. And rather than like a horde of local villagers coming, instead you see some of the local women like gather along the edges of the beach, and then the 3 men that do come down to the beach, you can tell there's a reason why they're not out fishing. One of them walks on crutches. Another one is very old, especially for a villager out in the countryside. And the third, you can't see anything like wrong at first, like noticeably. And then you realize that for whatever reason, his balance is horrible. Like he's like tripping basically as he's walking down the beach. And the one on crutches with a clearly splinted leg, he walks over and, you know, hobbles over and catches up with the young man and puts a hand on his shoulder and pats it. And the young lad, the 12-year-old sentry, walks away. And the man on crutches looks towards you and says, so you're a judge.
Question, what's the name of the place that we came from again? Redinium?
Redinium.
Redinium. Yes, I am a judge. I will go into my soaked robes and pull out my judge's badge.
Yeah, he sort of hops over
air.
on crutches, and he'll grab it. And you get the sense that he has no idea what a judge's badge looks like, but he still tries to like inspect it, like he's really doing his due diligence. Like he holds it up to the light, he sort of flips it around, like sort of he taps it, he like puts it in his mouth and bites it to see if it's made out of real metal. But, you know, he clearly, like, you get this, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. You want to buy a judge's badge. But after he's inspected it thoroughly to make sure it's a real physical object, he looks at you. What are you doing here?
I come on urgent Imperial business. I must reach Redinium extremely quickly. It is a matter of life or death. I'm hoping
you're
that
a
your
long way from there.
I understand, yes. I am hoping that your townsfolk can provide me with some sort of transportation on my way.
Like what?
Whatever the fastest method of getting there is. If it's by ship, then by ship, by horse, whatever we can manage, but it must be extremely quickly.
We don't have any horses here. Maybe if you go to the south, I'm sure that, what's that fellow's name? It's not proconsul. You want Mythosian titles and all that. They're confusing. Tribune. If you go down to the south, Tribune Antonius has a horse ranch. Perhaps he can assist you.
How far is that?
Oh, I don't know. A couple miles. With your functioning legs, it should only take you a couple of hours.
Alright. And do I reckon that it'll be faster by horse significantly? I guess, because if it's faster than dolphin mode, then ship
yeah,
would be.
the main reason the horse is faster is because as the crow flies would obviously be the fastest type, because you just can go straight without any obstacles. The obstacles underwater are the hooked Isle of Breton, so that would add like dozens of miles to your journey. And on horseback, you know, you'd still have some land obstacles, but not as many. So even if you go the same speed as a dolphin, then on land that would be faster because you can go in a more direct route.
Got it. And this Tribune Antonius, is this like separate from the village? It seems like he's just someone that lives alone, or it's like another.
Sounds like. I mean, he said several miles to the south, so.
So, and what is a Tribune?
A tribune is it's a slightly higher rank in the imperial hierarchy. Quaestor is technically not the lowest rank, but it essentially is. Then you would have, I think it's an aedile, who deals with like large cities and towns, and then you have a tribune. If they're like, they can do pretty big stuff. Like they can serve in the legion and like lead armies, so they can do quite a bit of stuff. Or they can be regional governors, essentially. Not like of a whole region, but of like a collection of villages.
Got it. I will let him know. I will head there straight away then. Is there any rations that your town can spare? Just a few in order for me to make it to Redinium.
You mean like lunch?
Yes, like lunch. How far is Redinium on horseback from here?
Oh. Redinium. Well, we don't often go there, but, when Eustace went there a couple of weeks ago, I think he said 4 days on foot. 3 days, maybe.
On foot. Can I do the quick maths in my head?
Yeah, probably 1 day on horseback, maybe less. Like maybe less than a full day.
Got it. So will I need a ration for that?
No.
Okay. I'm alright without lunch then. Sorry, I thought it would have been much farther. Thank you very much for your help. And you have a magnificent son. He protected your daughter straight away when he saw me, a strange woman, emerging from the water.
He's my nephew.
He did well. Ah, well then, you have a great nephew.
And you begin to hike up the beach, clods of sand getting kicked up as you move up the surf. The shrine is quiet. It doesn't seem to be a manned shrine, like where there's a priest living there. It's just a shrine for these two little villages. And once you reach the road, you can start to orient yourself. And you've never been so thankful of signage, There's none on Gela Isle. You have no idea where anything is. Same with the, swim here from Gela Isle. There's no signs underwater. But on every Mithdosian road, there are signs saying the distance to the nearest places and what direction they are. And you just feel so thankful for the fact you don't even have to think about navigation is a blessing. And you begin to
don't need
walk.
a fucking map.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to go to the nearest mountaintop, look around, and be like, okay, so that would mean you do some fucking trigonometry to figure out where to go. Yeah, you begin to walk along the cobbled road southward. Around here, it seems to be a more impoverished area. There are a couple of farms, but this soil is horrible. You can see these farms are growing the most pitiful alfalfa you've ever seen, and little sprigs of corn that are just dying as they grow. It's not a great place for crops for whatever reason. But on a nearby hill, overlooking this sort of low-lying marshy plain near the water, is a horse ranch and a mansion. It immediately reminds you of Lord Aventadorus' estate on Gala Isle, in the sense that, there's all this poverty and not too good-looking areas, and then a very expensive-looking estate just plopped in the middle of it. And yeah, it's on a nearby hill. There's a couple of servants tending to what do you call that? A herd? Is it a herd of horses? That feels like it's wrong.
Oh. Yeah, like a herd.
It's a herd.
It's a herd? Okay. Yeah, there's a herd of horses within the corral, grazing some sheep, and just servants tending to the whole estate.
I will, run up to this one of the servants, whichever one's closest.
Yeah, it's a gardener tending to some bushes.
Hello, I need to speak to Tribune Antonius immediately. I am an imperial judge and I come on official business.
Gardener slowly pushes herself up from, her being on her knees and says, yeah, all right. She begins to walk up the road to the estate proper, and then she, barks out, I need Tribune Antonius! And you can hear movement from inside, and within probably a minute after it passes through all these different people, a man will exit the estate. He wears a toga, which is a very traditional form of Mithdosian wear. It's not really common nowadays, but he exits in a golden dyed toga, and descends the steps of his home down to the road where you were just leaning against one of the a part of the fence, and he says, so, Lady Judge,
Yes, indeed. Judge Renesmee. I am here on very urgent business. I require a path to Redinium as quickly as possible, and the townsfolk recommended that I come to you as you have a horse ranch. I'm
Did they
looking
know?
Yeah.
Which townsfolk would those be?
Why is that?
I'm just curious.
Which townsfolk specifically?
Oh, yes. Which of the villages under my control?
This does not matter. I need to get to Redinium quickly, and I require a horse.
Are you going to return it?
Potentially. Would you like it returned?
Yes.
I could not return it immediately. I need to go to Redinium and get ships to go to Gala Isle. But I could probably get someone from Redinium to return it for me, if that is all right with you.
That will suffice. I can trust in the good word of a judge. I do, of course, need to see your badge.
Yes, I will take up my badge, show it to him.
All right, you approach, hand over the badge. He actually just glances at it for like half a second and hands it back, confirming its authenticity. And he will order for a horse to be provided for you. It's a mare is the female horse. I'm like 80% sure.
Yeah.
A mare is provided for you with a brown mane. You know, nothing like Nami. You know, Nami's special, unique. But you were given a saddle is placed. The stable hand seems a bit protective of all the equipment because it doesn't seem like the tribute does much riding. This stuff is beautiful. You know, the pallet, the saddle is polished. The horse has like little braids in its mane. And it's not going to stay polished if it has to go run another like 50 miles southward, or 40 miles southward. But who cares? You don't care about this horse's braids. You just want to get to Redinium. And so you head out to the road, and your horse begins. Yeah.
May I ask one of the people that are helping me with the horse? Does she have a name?
Oh, yeah. We call her Eyes.
Why is that?
Well, when she first came to the corral, she was always giving these big puppy dog eyes to everyone. We didn't feed her.
Whenever you did, oh, like when she was hungry in the mornings.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very sweet. Thank you. I just wanted to know what to call her.
Sure. You head out to the road and begin to thunder southward. It's probably been a while since Eyes has been able to just go for it, but you rattle across the the Mithdosian roads, the cobbled roads that go in straight lines for miles, and you begin to travel southward. You pass by villages, and slowly it all just starts to blur together, because there's a village like every mile, sometimes less than that. So you are passing through 40, 50, 60 villages as you are journeying southward at a rapid pace, and signs are constantly updating you. Redinium 5 miles, 6 miles, and then you turn a bend, now it's 3 miles, and slowly the town of Redinium comes into view. It has large curtain walls. It has several objects which go higher than the walls, such as the minarets of a Hellion church, the dome of a Aurelian Soul church, and the governor's palace, which is where you previously met with the vice admiral, who is sort of like your superior, as it were. You can ride through the city gates without trouble. And where are you headed to?
You're the Vice Admiral.
Okay. You head to the governor's palace, and normally this is like such a thing to deal with. Even just going to a Mithdosian city is like layers of bureaucracy. Meeting with the vice admiral could take days or weeks. However, for you, it is no problem. Just judge's badge, and eventually you can find yourself walking through the corridors of the palace. Eyes is being tended to at the stables, and you open up a door, and you find yourself in the Vice Admiral's office. He's been pre-informed of your arrival, as you can tell, because he's sitting in a chair waiting for your arrival. His wife, who has been here during previous meetings, is sitting near the balcony just with a piece of paper. And the Vice Admiral, stands as you enter and extends a hand to shake yours.
I will shake his hand and I will say, Vice Admiral, I am sorry to meet with you on such short notice, but something terrible has occurred, and we are in desperate need of your help.
Yes, I could gather by the fact that the rest of your judge colleagues aren't here.
Yes. What's the name of the town that they're in, that they're defending the fort in?
Verusia.
Got it. Verusia. I'm so bad with names, thank you. Well, Vice Admiral, Verusia in Gala Isle has been overtaken by an army of creatures, and people that seem to worship the Raven King or Queen or whatever it is.
And this Raven King, is that related to the saboteur?
Yes. Yes, it is related to the saboteur. They're currently, what is it called? Heisting the fort?
Sieging?
Sieging. They are currently sieging the fort. And everyone is trapped inside without water. They're trying to figure that out as I headed over here to inform you quickly. We need men. We need backup. They need to be helped or rescued. Something.
I see. It was good that you brought this to my attention. If they've moved on from sabotage to full-out attacks, they may look to attack here. How many are in this army besieging the fort?
About 50.
50.
Some humans, some mongrelly creatures that are half random animals and half man, and others ravens, large,
By
terrifying.
Aurelian soul. Alright, 50 you said. How big is the garrison on that isle? 20?
What's a garrison?
How big is the number of soldiers, Imperial soldiers stationed on the island that are besieged?
Probably around 20.
Alright. I think I can put something together. I'll have to take a ship from the Navy. Probably send over some Marines and a spellcaster.
Yes, speaking of that, I did not arrive by ship. These sieging forces, they destroyed all of the ports. So if you do take ships there, just know they will not have ports to receive them.
Alright. Well, so that means we definitely need to send Marines. Alright. Well, do you think there's any chance they attack us here?
Doesn't seem so. I think that from what we've learned at least, the Ravens are very fascinated with controlling that island. At least in the short term. In the long term, who's to say, but I don't think they're planning on coming here.
Alright then. Well, I'll start preparing a vessel. It should be ready by tomorrow or the day after.
Yes, don't completely unman all of your forces here, just in case, but...
Trust me, we're only sending over one ship to deal with this. If it's only 50 besiegers, a group of about 50 Marines alongside one of my mages should be more than enough to take care of it.
Alright. Whatever you think is best.
Well, you must have had one painful journey. If you didn't come here by ship, it's a long way to swim.
Yes, well, luckily I am able to shape myself into animals, so the dolphin ride was alright.
Well, would you like a room?
How long will we be staying until the forces are prepared?
A day or two.
I worry, Vice Admiral, that they will not survive so long. They have no water within the fort.
Well, the only method to get there quicker would be a wizard teleporting a small force over, but if the besieging army is of 50 men, you can only bring over 8 at a time. It's not feasible.
And this is truly the best of our abilities.
Lady Judge, I'm sure that you are very talented at shifting in animals and your judgely duties. I am a very talented admiral, and I assure you that in a day or two, a vessel will be headed out and it'll deal with this problem.
I'll nod my head and say, all right, then a room will be great. And if you need any assistance to assist at all with this, do let me know. I'm eager.
Perhaps. We'll see. And you are brought to a bedroom. Previously, when you were in the city, you stayed in, if not these exact quarters, would have been very similar ones when you were here for like a day or two. They're fine guest rooms. Technically, it's the governor's guest room, not the vice admiral's, but doesn't matter. And you get nice and comfortable. You begin to wring out all your socks and your shoes and your pants and your shirt and everything. And you request a change of just basic clothes, something to wear until your actual armor and equipment is all dry. And do you have anything that would be damaged by being, soaked in water? I'm guessing not, but maybe.
Okay.
Anything made of like dissolving in water or...
1 second.
No, your fruits and vegetables are soaked through. No. It's all over. Oh, I see what it is. 1 pound of sugar cubes is gone. They dissolve in the water. What else?
Star
is there?
Theory and Geomancy book? I'd assume that it'd be like waterlogged, but not destroyed.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you have to go get like a grate, put it over the fire, and you basically do your best to like get radiant heat traveling up to the books to dry them out. Oh man, yeah, you may have ruined like 6 books in your desire not to freak out those 2 people. Well,
I figured that if I wild shaped on land, I would still be wet. I guess I just didn't think about it.
Yeah, your skin would be wet, but it wouldn't be like you're in... Yeah, exactly. You just didn't think about it. You've never had to worry about this interaction before.
Yeah.
So let's just roll a d2 for each of these things to see if they're damaged. So we have 1, 2, 2,
What is that?
3. Yeah, roll 3d2.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, because you have 3 different texts on your sheet that could be damaged. Okay, the recent pages from Khalil's journal are fine. The Evro grimoire from a necromancer is fine. The Star Theory and Geomancy book is a ruin.
No.
Damn, that's brutal. Well, as you do all of this and prepare to return to the Isle, we're gonna cut back to 2 other folks on the island. However, they are not with, they are not gonna go find some saving warband. They're just chilling around a campfire, trying to get some sleep and hang out with their dog. So we're gonna be back in after a very short break with Maximus, Lars, and Professor Pushton. All right, see you in a few minutes.
Days.
All right, welcome back. So, you guys are starting a long rest. So far, you're 1 day into it. You got 6 days left until your long rest is completed.
No, we're finishing our long rest.
You
will not
6 days
interrupt
left
us.
until it's completed. And you guys have plenty of food. I think the 2 of you, Maximus and Lars, have more food than like the rest of the party combined. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, because we have all
Mickey
the
has
rations.
50
Yeah.
Mickey has 54 rations, so...
Yeah, you guys are
I have
fine on
6
this.
on the
Yeah,
rations.
And for water, there's a nearby. You guys have water skins, I'm pretty sure. And then there's also a nearby river that you can just get water from if you need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, I don't know if this is applicable, but I have a brewing kit and proficiency in it. Is there anything that can help us out with water or no?
I mean, brewing kit would have the stuff to like boil water, make sure it doesn't give you parasites. But brewing kit's mostly
That's it.
for beer.
Turn
Oh,
it into
okay.
beer. That is that. Oh,
So you
Mickey.
could, next time you're in the city.
Vile.
The most useful case I've seen for a brewer's kit was a guy who made a previous player who made a keg of beer, strapped it to his back, and as they were adventuring, he let it age, like on his back. And that thing
And sold
aged
it.
for like 3 years while he was.
That sounds really
adventuring.
familiar. Was that Kildrak?
Yeah, it was Kildrak. And he made a very fine dwarvish ale while on the move.
How much was it worth though?
Well, back when he sold it, it was worth like I think 60 or 80 gold. Now it'd be worth way more than that because dwarven ale isn't made anymore. So
Wait,
it could be worth hundreds.
I was about to say, wouldn't tramping through like the sun and the nature be really bad for it? But we absolutely weren't doing that most of the time.
Yeah, you were just in like dungeons and dark, dank caves.
The darkness.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys begin your long rest. And during the week, I believe you guys were training together. I think Maximus was going to start getting unarmed strike, and Lars was going to start getting land vehicles.
proficiency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. All right.
So
excellent.
that is the main thing that consumes your day. You teaching Maximus the basic striking forms. Maximus teaching you how to like figure out the desires of your horse, and you guys have a bunch of horses too. You have all the party's horses right now, so you get to learn about the different temperaments of horses and things like that. And all the while, Professor Pushton just does what he usually does, sketching random animals. And for the first couple days, it's relatively uneventful. In fact, we can get to day 4 of your long rest, and nothing's happened yet. I'm sure that something's unfolding at the fort, and maybe, just to hedge my bets, you'll probably get a message spell somewhere in this time from Severus, but nothing is going to happen to your camp. You're just chilling. Then, on day 5, Lars, you wake up in the morning. You go through morning practice with Maximus, working him out, teaching him the punching forms. You have gathered together a collection of like straw to just punch. It breaks apart when you punch it once, but it's the closest thing you can get to a punching bag out in this shithole of an island. And then, as you're eating lunch, speaking of which, remove 12 rations. Let's just say Ethan, just so it's simple. As you're, taking lunch, Lars, and you're sort of away from the others, just petting Gore, you see something move in the shadows of your empty eye socket. Once again, it seems a presence lingers there beyond just beyond what you can really make out.
I'm gonna try to focus on it again.
Okay. You focused. You look. And then you hear a voice. It's a slight whisper. And it says, "Hello!" And it seems to echo from all around you.
It sounds like it's not like in my head or anything. It's like
It seems like a real thing, like in the world, that is echoing from around you. And you see Gore's ears like sort of perk up.
okay, so I know it's real. I'll kind of look around first, just do like a general swivel of the head, and then just respond. Hello?
Go away from the others. I just need to speak with you.
Did I hear him say that?
I think you see Lars' lips moving. He's like looking around while he's at the edge of the camp eating food.
Just gonna stare at him. Kind of weirdly.
I'll respond, why?
I think I have something that you want.
It's not much that I do want. What is it?
There's just
Lars?
silence.
What are you doing, buddy?
Are you just like yelling that from across the camp?
Yeah, because I saw you mounting.
Oh, just talking to myself and Gore.
How far away is Gore from him?
Gore's right next to me.
Yeah.
Gore's right next to him.
Yeah, you just give him some pets.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to violently consuming my ration.
Okay.
Did the creature respond to me?
No, it did not respond.
Then I don't care.
Okay.
Based.
You remain seated, and
Well, I'm assuming that if it's based off the eye memes, the only thing that I could think is it thinks that I want my eye back. But if it was taken by the hag, I've already accepted I'm not getting it back. So
okay.
it
You
seems like
return
some
to what
sort
you
of
were doing,
trickery stuff I don't mess with.
and hey, if you ignore the thing, it's gonna leave you alone, at least for today. So you go through the
Did
rest
it
of the daily
specifically
routine.
seem to happen in reaction to me focusing off the thing in my eye?
It seemed like it, yeah.
At some point, I might get curious enough and have Gore come with me while I go like take a piss and see if I can locate the general direction of where it's trying to lead me.
Okay. Later in the day, you finish your horse riding. You're just like rubbing out the sores forming on your thighs from just all this riding. And you go over to take a piss in a quiet cluster of trees, and you focus on the image. And this time, you hear a whisper return, and it says, "So, are we making a deal?"
Typically, supposed to introduce what this deal has to, what you're giving and what you're taking.
Well, now that you're alone, suppose I see no harm. And you will hear a slight. It sounds almost like the flapping of like an insect wings. And on a tree across from you, you see a creature. It almost just barely looks like a fairy, like the typical like children's story looking fairy. However, it's deeply more unsettling than that. Its face looks almost simian like almost like a monkey. Its eyes are large, sort of like a fly, and it has this incredible pattern of like green and blue, like a hummingbird, all along its shoulders. And it perks against one of these low-lying branches and looks at you and says, "Well, don't you want back what you lost?"
This is what I think it's about. Not particularly. I accepted losing it and keeping with it lost whenever the incident originally occurred.
The little creature flits from one branch to another. "But that's the problem. You don't know what you've lost."
Well, care to explain then? Because I'm pretty sure all I lost was an eye.
He lifts off the little low-lying branch and begins to float closer to you, his little wings flapping. "The eye is just what you see. It's the surface level thing. Take off that piece of cloth."
He'll hesitate for a second, but then think it over and then decide to take it off.
All right, you take it off, and you feel, the little creature's flitting about a foot in front of your face, but he gestures like with his left hand, a remarkably like human gesture towards the eye socket. "May I?"
I suppose.
He floats over. You feel the little hand touch your cheek, and like you can look down towards it. The hands are small. The token is much bigger than it actually is in reality. He's maybe a foot tall, so that makes his little hands like an inch across. And you feel his little hands touch your face and get close to the eye, and he sort of sticks his hand. It's the weirdest shit ever. You feel his hand go through like along the edge of where the eye is damaged, and then you feel he must be putting his hand inside your fucking eye socket, but you don't feel anything. And when his hand emerges, he like holds it up in front of your other eye. It's like, it's super close to your eye. It's very unnerving. And it's covered in this black goo. You have no idea what the fuck it could be. It smells like nothing, but it just looks like this thick black ichor. You see it.
What am I supposed to be looking at here?
Corruption. That is what she's actually done to you. The loss of your eye was just incidental. He flits away to the lower branch very rapidly. That is just the surface level. Soul is damaged.
Well, what will happen to me then if I do nothing?
All right, do you follow a entity?
No.
Then I suppose nothing. When you die, like many souls, you will be devoured. However, rather than by the ones of oblivion, it'll be by her.
How long till it kills me?
Till it kills you? Oh. Likely old age first. You humans are so short-lived.
But then what's the worry? if it's not affecting me currently, and it's gonna be
Well,
the
she
same
has
as if I
marred
live
you.
my life normally.
Your form has been changed.
What do you mean?
Well, whatever this creature seems very confused. And it just sits on the lower branch, sort of in like a Slav squat, thinking about how to talk to you. In his mind, this is all like super obvious, and you should be outraged. But now he just seems confused as he just cocks his
Is
head.
it like a thing to where their body is like their own what's the word? Like possession, and then like messing with that is like the ultimate sin or something?
Could be. You have no idea. You don't know what the fuck this little thing is. You have no idea what this thing is. And then you can't say much about wider fey culture, perhaps for Nesme. If for Nesme were here, she could probably say it. But he just cocks his head and says, "You have lost a piece of yourself. You do not wish for it back?"
I wanted to leave that forest as soon as possible. I gave up my eye to do so. What do I gain in what you're offering?
We have a mutual foe. It owes me much. She has taken
The
too
hag?
much from me.
You're referring to the hag?
Yes. I propose an alliance. She has taken things from you. She is a foe of mine.
Wish to never go back into that forest again, but I'm open to hearing what at least you're offering.
Well, on the winter solstice in 11, your human months, the barrier between Azalora and your world is the lightest. The effects of woods are minor. You could go to her grove. She could not keep you there. You could kill her. Once she is dead, I will know how to return your eye, return the possessions stolen from me and the hundreds of others over the years.
Don't particularly dislike getting revenge on someone that's taken something from me, but
Then we are in agreement.
I want to hear from your eyes or your perspective. Why is losing my eye important to you?
For my people, we can fix our physical form in your world. If I were to be squished right now, I would return to my home. However, when something like what the hag did happens, our bodies are permanently marred. Do you see what I look like?
Do?
This is a mark of her. Immortality stuck in the body of an insect.
Out of character, it just seems like, I don't know.
Is he an elf?
No, he's some
Probably
sort
not.
of fake creature. But, like, I get what he may have been done to him and other people, but, like, Lars's in comparison, it, like, just doesn't really affect him that much, unfortunately.
Hey, if he doesn't care about losing his eye, hey, just move the fuck on.
Yeah, because he says, talk about, like, well, he's been told about some sort of curse from the hag, and he's assuming this is a part of it, but if it's not going to affect him, he's just going to live his life like normal, and I don't think he really cares as much.
Hey, that's totally
Especially
fair.
since it seems like the damage that he's referring to is not really, like, to his soul or whatever, doesn't really currently affect Lars.
Yeah, I mean, he's not making the strongest argument, suffice it to say.
I'm assuming it just has something to do with a culture that this is like more severe than what humans made see,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Like if I lost a leg or an arm or something that like seriously affected me, maybe I'd be more inclined. I've been told that whatever the hag did to me did end up causing some sort of curse that would bring troubles later. Is this what you're referring to, or is that something separate?
Curse. I do not know of a curse. I only know of the marring of your soul.
Well,
I do not know how, but it seems as if you do not seek revenge.
the Feywood is a very scary place for someone like me who wishes to remain in control of themselves and their well-being. I understand you're saying that it's going to be weaker during that time, but I don't really have a way to combat a lot of things at the Feywood. And if all this is just for getting my eye back, it's not as much as a reward as the risk.
What would be a reward?
I don't have anything that comes to mind, so if you have anything to offer, I'm listening. I have no problem assisting with this. It's more so, don't have a great of a reason to at the moment if all I gain back is my eye.
She is a creator of potions. She has... Oh, you humans like metals. She has metal,
Listening.
a great amount of it, taken from wandering travelers, taken from their roads, delivered to her sanctum.
Suppose I am more intrigued by what would be gained from her. She probably has taken a lot over the years. I'll think it over for the time being. Is there a way I can get back in contact with you in the future?
No. I will contact you. And, of course, you must not look into the darkness and speak my name.
Well, I wouldn't be able to do that. I don't know your name.
Oh. I suppose so. That's good for both of us. She watches you, even now. It is lucky
Why?
the time I have picked.
Why
And
does she
he
watch
will-
me? What does
He'll
she gain from
start
it?
to flap his wings a little bit and he'll say, she cannot leave her wood. Her marred children are view out here. Her way to look around the world. It is good that you wear that cloth at most times, other than during my inspection. It limits her view of this world. Now,
How will she, not know that I'm coming then?
she will. What is she to do? She cannot run. She has spent centuries in that spot. She is as tied to it as it to her.
That'll be as simple as walking up and punching her to death. I assume she has some way to defend herself.
There'll be time. Me and others. We see a way forward. Then he flits away. Very rapidly, like that has the hummingbird sort of speed, and he just zip out of sight.
He'll just whistle for Roar and then start heading back to the camp.
Yeah. After he zips away, you do start to wonder if it was a coincidence that he just whispered when you looked at the eye socket, because, he's a corporeal thing. It seemed as if he was invisible before. So it's not like he was, whispering from inside your head or anything. It makes you wonder if there's a level of deception, in, maybe he's not related to the thing in the eye at all. Maybe he's just a little creature, or it's just odd. It's an odd circumstance.
I really don't understand if it's a thing that has to do with they themselves. Maybe some people got things that way worse taken from them, sure. But
Yeah.
for me, it's okay, so the hag gets to see the world and I lose an eye and that's it. My life lives normal.
Yeah, hey, if Lars thinks it's minor, Lars thinks it's minor. It ain't a biggie. It ain't a biggie. No big deal. All right. Well,
I think at some point in one of the nights in the future, when focusing on the thing in the eye, I want to see if I can try conversing with the hag or communicating with it in any way.
Okay. Yeah, so you go to bed that night. And, you're in your tent. Maximus is snoring like a seesaw. Professor Pushkin has long since gone to bed. And you focus on your eye. You again feel that presence sort of lingering. You see that like outline of a shape, but can't quite make it out. What do you say to try to communicate?
Well, first I want to take off my eye patch, and then I'll
Okay.
say, "Can you hear me, hag?" Because I don't think we ever got her name, did we?
No.
Okay.
Or maybe you did. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like
If we did,
you
I'll call
may
her by
have.
her name, but I don't know if we did or not.
Maybe. Either way, you say, we'll say hag. You say hag. And you look into the darkness and, oh wait, you say it out loud, right?
If it's not going to wake other people up, yeah.
No, yeah, probably not. Okay. Yeah, you say it out loud. There's no response from within the eye socket. But you see Gore's ears perk up. And you can hear this faint, almost like insect-like flapping of wings from outside of your tent. Or it's more like the buzzing of wings.
Yeah. I'll put the eye patch back on and just listen.
Yeah. You hear zzz, 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 you know, the little insectoid flying type thing, and then you feel something, or not feel, hear something pat against the canvas of your tent, and you look up to the right and you see the full little body of the creature displayed against the edge of your tent. It's a little bit horrifying. It's like you just see this silhouette. So you see the silhouette of this sort of man-shaped but also insectoid thing splayed across the edge of your tent.
I was always expecting it from the noise.
Yeah, fair enough. Still, a bit of a spooky visual. And there is a voice.
Lying on me now, are you?
There's a whisper from the outside. Why do you speak to her?
Because I'm curious.
You intend to give me up?
No. But I wish to find her reasoning by what she gains from looking through my eye.
He sort of, you hear a bit of almost like a growl come from that position. Betrayal will not be taken lightly.
I do not know who you or what you are. I have no intention of giving you up. I'm simply thinking on both sides right now. Your arguments weren't exactly very convincing.
It flits away, satisfied with your answers. But no response comes from the hag.
Okay. Then there'll probably be no future attempts on communication then. There was one time where I saw something more clear, wasn't there?
Yes, when you're back on Praton after you killed the paladin, you saw a creature in the darkness.
But I haven't seen anything even remotely similar since then.
Nope.
Okay.
Other than a vague silhouette.
I won't worry about it anymore then. If the creature comes back asking for an answer, then I'll decide by then, but
Okay.
it's just not something that's particularly appealing to Lars, especially since he's not very affected by it.
Okay. So the next day, Maximus and Lars and the professor, the three of you guys are down at the river. Or the two of you and the professor are down at the river fetching some water. The professor seems to have become a bit melancholic. He stopped taking as many notes on things. And as you guys are collecting water, he'll say, So, how did you become a judge? He points at Lars.
It's a shorter story than you'd think.
Funnier than you think, too.
Put it plainly, it was for my combat capabilities. Instead of throwing me in a jail cell, they decided to conscript me to be a judge.
Why would they have thrown you in a jail cell?
Because, well, I didn't pick a fight with the wrong person. The wrong person picked a fight with me, and I fought back.
Wrong person. So you beat up a criminal?
They probably would have looked the other way if that was the case. No, it was a royal guard.
Oh.
not known to me at the time, but he picked a fight.
you
I
got away
fought
with
back,
that.
and well, that's where my service comes in. I became a judge to make up for that. And at least so far, I've repaid those debts and decided to continue being a judge for family reasons.
You are somewhat unusual amongst those I've met from Mythos. You seem so rugged.
And you get pushed out of your family at a younger age through evolving circumstances. The world doesn't exactly treat you nicely on your own.
What did your father do?
What do you mean?
Well, you said you were pushed out of your family. I was just wondering what he did for his craft. What was his trade?
Actually, no. I just know he's a noble guy.
Yeah, that's his job. His full-time job is to be an administrator.
I'll just say that. He's an administrator.
My father was a professor. Before that, he was a researcher.
So you're following in his footsteps?
Not exactly. He worked in the war correspondence area of the Department of War. He wrote reports about how the legions were performing on the plains. More of a military man. I've just started.
And what made you so different?
Oh, well, he was away most of the time, and my mother would read me these stories of the founding of the empire, stories of our greatest heroes, stories of past heroes. But there was this one book. It was a list of great heroes from the age of myth. It included the heralds, Saint Palinol. It also included people I'd never heard of before, like King Giles of Breton. It included the Crab King, these strange figures, and I was hooked. But I guess I've started to feel like I'm going to die here.
This island in
What's
general?
that?
Yeah, the island. I don't know, it's just a gut feeling. You all can take care of yourselves. Your dog is a more capable fighter than I am.
Well, we'll do our best not to let that happen. So far, I'd say we've done a pretty good job.
So far, I've done a good job at running away.
That's what you have to do to keep yourself alive.
I suppose.
Not everyone can fight. Not everyone should be expected to.
Maybe. And you guys continue with the rest of the day, but there is an aura of Professor Pushkin, maybe it's the stress. I think that's probably what you tell yourself. It's probably just the stress getting to him. He's just like a writing boy, and he's being exposed to the horrors of a island of horrific monsters and cultists and all sorts of other things.
I mean, it's kind of what he wanted, though, right?
He just wanted the history of it. He didn't want to be immersed in the history. He just wanted to go
I
see
mean,
it.
his other option was
better way
sitting
to
stuck in
learn
the fort,
history?
not allowed to do anything. So,
Well, now that would
he's got
also
more
be
experience
dangerous, so...
than this.
What better way to learn history than to experience it?
Yeah, yeah, something like that. All right.
I'm pretty sure he's experienced more in a short time with us than he has in his lifetime.
True. At least in terms of
Based.
living history. The Mackay stuff, he'll probably be able to write about that for years. All right. You guys are now 5 days into your long rest. And as you guys wake up in the morning, I guess probably as Lars wakes up in the morning, bright and early, maybe Mac. Yeah, it's probably Lars who wakes up first. You notice that the fog around your campsite has grown more intense. Previously, it allowed you to see out to about a mile. Now it's like a couple 100 feet. You can't even see the river near your campsite. and it has this sort of greenish tint to it. It's not a strong one. It's not like it's fucking phosphine gas or anything, but it does have this slight sort of sickly coloration to the fog. And you hear noises in the distance. It's like echoes of echoes. It's like when something echoes, it has this like sort of double layered effect where you hear the noise and then the echo of the noise as well. It's kind of like that, and it's really far away.
Hey, Lars.
Yeah, if Max isn't already awake, I'll wake him up.
Yeah.
It's been like 5 days now. I was kind of expecting them to be gone for like 3 hours. Oh, that's right. You also said we would get a... Sorry. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
Never
So
mind.
one, you've already gotten a message that said there's no food or water in the fort. We're going to take care of it.
All right, yep.
But and yeah,
I
probably
forgot
somewhere
about
this
that.
time you got like some sort of message would be my guess. Just because you're right, it will be a little bit weird for them not to contact you for 5 days. I'm sure they'll send something.
What the hell is that?
And you begin to realize what the sounds are.
Does it sound like the din of battle? Just really far?
Actually, yeah, it does. It sounds like a distant, echoing battle. You hear the sound of
Christ.
shouts and screams of metal on metal, of horses winning.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna
again, it's
start
all super
fucking-
far away.
I'm gonna start getting all my shit on. All right, pack up, Lars. That's definitely someone fighting out there.
The professor begins to pack up as well.
I'm gonna spend the next 10 minutes putting on my armor.
Okay, yeah, the professor will help you. You can't put that shit on alone. You begin to draw straps and affix like buttons, and by the time you have your armor on, Lars is done. He's ready to go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Unless Lars, do you think you need to go in the direction of battle?
Sorry, I had to step away for a moment.
Okay. Yeah, you hear the sounds of a distant echoing battle. Are you like packing up to go in
Back
that
up and
direction?
go up the other way. Probably the other direction.
The other
The other
direction.
direction, it's probably them. Renesmee probably got help.
Yeah, well, we think that's... Yeah, I'll go help.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I imagine that was contained within the message that we are hypothetically...
No, certainly not. You would
Oh.
not have received a message saying that there's a battle today. If that's what you're asking.
No, just
Oh,
that
okay.
Renesmee went to get help.
Oh,
not,
yeah, that was
this
in the
is
first
day
message they
that
sent
is-
you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I imagine that this is what's happening right now.
All right, then you guys pack up your gear, pull on your armor. It takes about 20 minutes, and all the sounds of battle have not stopped. And this green fog still lingers around the camp. So do you just plunge into the green fog in the direction of the sounds?
Are we not like... Is it very obvious that we are not in the fog, or is it like...
You
this is
are
just
clearly not in the fog right now, which is a little bit odd.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna poke my hand into the fog and get to the...
Yeah, your hand goes through just
Delineation.
fine. It's not like a solid object, so you just put your arm into the fog. It does instantly make your hand more opaque, more the higher opacity makes it hard to see your hand just within going, a couple of inches
I'm
in.
gonna stick my head in.
Yeah, visibility is absolute dog shit, but I mean, it is just fog.
I'm gonna breathe.
Yeah, it's not melting your lungs or your skin.
Onwards!
All right. So on the back of Mickey, you begin to, with your lance in hand, ride into the darkness. Professor Pushkin rides after you. He's corralling the horses. Lars, you're still injured, so do you take up the rear or do you take up the middle in between the Professor and Maximus?
I'll take up the rear.
Okay. Maximus, you begin to trot into the fog, and instantly, within about 100 feet, you lose your bearings. You look behind you.
Oh, that was fast.
You see the outline of trees, and it's okay. The forest is there, and then you begin to clop forward. You look back. The professor and Lars are still there, but the trees are gone.
Uh-oh.
And the sound of battle seems to be getting closer, even though you're not moving.
Uh-oh.
And then you see something thunder through the fog in front of you. A horseman. His eyes glow with a rainbow categories of light. You see his eyes glow red and blue and purple, and it makes this almost like prism effect from his eyes as he stares around. And this rider in the darkness, he rides in your direction, his glowing eyes looking at you. His armor is rudimentary, though. It's almost like basic. He's wearing copper armor held together by basically pieces of string rather than the fancy plate that you're wearing. And his voice booms through the darkness. Friend or foe?
Friend?
Well then, which lord do you serve?
What's the, like, actual name of the Emperor? The proper name?
Oh, it would be Emperor Invictus Sol.
Emperor Invictus Sol.
Person, the cavalryman, the rider looks confused. Emperor.
What lord do you serve?
Lord Giles.
Turn to the professor.
Do you recognize that name?
Lord Giles, very long time ago. I'm talking. That armor, like, was used centuries ago, or like.
You don't even know it's so old.
So do we think it's some sort of ghost or apparition then?
Has to be.
The rider, sort of, his head cocks in the direction. He says, well, whether you're friend or foe, you should stay away from the battlefield. We don't need observers.
What battle is occurring right now? Between who?
How are you here and you haven't heard about it? Perhaps you're a spy.
Perhaps
He
we're
begins
just
to ride a bit
wanderers.
closer and he holds up a copper sword in your direction.
Be a really shitty spy if I was, wouldn't I?
I don't have time to explain this to you.
All right.
Stay away from the battlefield. His horse begins to thunder off into the fog, and within 6 or 7 full galloping of the horse, disappears.
Well then,
Sir.
are we leaving this fog then?
We can try.
Professor
Turn
looks
back the direction we
around.
came.
Yeah, you turn
And try
back
to
the
just
direction you
walk in
came,
that
and you begin to, your horse clops across the dirt, trying to return the way you came. As you guys clop forward, the sounds of battle begin to fade, as if they're going further away. And now you hear crackling, almost like something's burning. And Lars, you find yourself, in front of you is a camp. There's a central tent. Around it are 3 or 4 other ones. Underneath that central tent, it's almost like a pavilion. There is a whole like food line, basically. Like there's a large central pot of stew being handed out to what looks to be infantry soldiers. A lot of them show signs of injury, like a person is limping with pain. Other ones just sort of stand lingering around with cuts, superficial and otherwise. And one of the sentries at the edge of the camp with a spear, he seems to see you, a couple 100 feet off, and he begins to walk over.
Is this all like apparition-y? Or
No, it seems to be
this
hidden
look
in the
like-
fog banks. Like, it's still, you see only silhouettes of many of these people because of how far away they are in the fog, but it doesn't look that apparition-y at the moment. Though you can't
Are they
make out any
wearing,
details.
like the older armor and stuff? Or, like,
This
Right.
one, no, they're actually not even wearing armor at all. It's just like padded cloth.
Right up to the sentry. I
Yeah, the
guess.
sentry, once he's about 30 feet away from you, you begin to actually make out some details, especially when he steps forward and sort of the fog, the silhouette turns into his real face, and you see that a arrow is pierced through the side of his head. Blood sort of drips down from the left side. Brain matter is affixed on the arrow, and the man says, "Are you the new officers?"
No.
Oh. Well then, how can I help you, Lord Knight?
Sorry, I just arrived here. Was not given much information.
I can tell that fancy armor of yours is looking nice and clean.
Yes. Well, who is fighting right now?
I think at the moment, Lord Giles is headed up towards the summit. The, Athelstan has made his final stand up there.
I'll look at the professor.
The-
Athelstan?
Professor Pushton shrugs.
And the who? The Athelstan?
Yes. Oh, sorry, wait. No, Athelstan's his general. King Aethwin. King Aethwin's up on the hills.
We in the right place?
Whoa,
We're on the Isle of Gelen, correct?
well, that's an odd thing to call it. Raven Isle, yes.
I have an eye. What year is it?
Oh, he just sort of cocks his head. He just looks confused. He's not like taking it. He's just like, look. He's just 113, sir.
After the shattering.
Well, of course.
Alright.
Are you all right? We have a doctor.
Yeah, sorry, just very confused. The fog is throwing me off.
Oh yes, it's a real bad thing. Hasn't let up since we arrived in the Isle. But if you're a knight,
No.
you should go join the van of Lord Giles. He'll need assistance in scaling the summit. There are these things that actually... Oh, if you're new, I have to tell you this. Stay away from the flocks of ravens. They're the eyes and ears of King Aethwin. His spellcasters, they look like, living crows. I don't know how else to explain it.
King Aethwin,
Alright,
probably the
yes,
Raven
yes,
Tyrant.
Yes. You said King Aethwin is his name?
Yes?
Alright. Just notating all this stuff. Alright.
I'd be careful. They've been targeting, armored men like you, burning them alive in their armor.
The metal, it gets red hot.
Oh yeah. That's what happened to our knight. That's why I asked if you are his replacement.
God damn it. I've seen that before. Not pleasant.
No, not at all. During the battle, we charged the enemy flank and arrows were raining down and
Yes, I can.
one nearly
See
struck
that.
me.
Oh,
And then I saw
Can you go like this? Adult motion and like pull at
He
the
lifts up
arrow,
his hand.
like, where his arrow is.
yeah, he lifts up his hand and goes to wave past the side of his head, and then his hand hits the arrow. And you just see his face go confused. Then his face starts to slack. It seems like he's about to scream or say something, and then he just drops dead on the ground.
Probably best not to do that to too many more.
And you watch as the camp seems to almost just meld with the fog and fade from view.
Do I still hear the din of battle?
It's a little bit different now. It's not quite the din of battle. Instead, you hear... What would it sound like? You hear the sound of crackling fires, of men laughing and joking. You can hear a distant echoing speech that you can't make out a single word, really.
I'll try and head towards the noise.
Yeah, you begin to clip-clop, and Lars, you've been keeping an eye out, because you're trying to get back to, where you guys came from. And you can see trees to your right, the outline of trees. That is the direction you guys came from. You guys came from the woods.
I think we should probably head back. Looks like the forest right over there.
Well, maybe we can get some more information about what's going on in our time, based on what's happening now. And what was it, Professor 113?
113 is the year that King Giles destroyed the Raven Tyrant. Everything.
The issue with that is I don't know if we can even combat whatever these things are, and if we run into some hostile ones.
I don't think we'll need to. I mean, I'm not sure if they can harm us.
I'm not willing to risk my life for something like that. What do we stand to benefit from staying here?
Information. I just went over that. Perhaps.
Yeah, about what?
Information on literally anything. We don't know how really to defeat the Raven Tyrant. We have ideas, but perhaps how, figuring out how he did it would be a great way of learning that.
Well, if you are not willing to come and leave the force, I guess I'll continue to join you guys for now, but
Professor
today is
says,
something we can't
don't
deal
let me
with.
into this. I'd be more than happy to return to camp.
Maximus makes a point,
Probably best we all stick together.
All right. So you go in the direction of the distant sounds?
though. Guess so.
All right. Forming from fog, there is a low-lying wooden palisade. It seems to be something that was hastily thrown up. It's basically just sharpened logs plunged into the earth. and there is a little gatehouse. The gates are open, and Sentry sort of lazily leans against it. You can just see the silhouette of him, but he just sort of waves you in. He doesn't seem to care much about you. He seems to just instantly recognize you as someone who needs to be inside. And beyond the gate, you can see dozens of tents. It looks almost like a war camp. There's braziers, which round people are gathered. They're eating and drinking. And you can see, at the very edge of your vision, the sort of darkened silhouette of a catapult.
Catapult?
Catapult, yeah.
Let's get closer.
Okay, you guys pass underneath the gatehouse, and you hear Professor Pushton stifle a gasp. And looking up, you can see that the sentry is a skeleton, just a skeleton, not even a single scrap of flesh, a single scrap of flesh still clinging to the bones, just entirely skeletal. And clopping inward, the groups of soldiers gathered around braziers to warm themselves and laughing and joking. They all look, as best as you can tell, this is likely what they look like when they died. Something similar to that, because some of them show signs of more mundane, blunt, violent deaths. Like one guy has a split open skull, another one has a gutted open stomach. But some of them show signs they just died of old age. They're just incredibly old men, or one looks like he was burned alive, which, whatever the context of that, probably not the best. Just charred skin, just talking and gabbing. And you get closer to this catapult, and you can see what looks to be definitely a weapons officer, just because he's the one ordering around everyone around the catapult. His form of death is not easily visible. He just looks like a 30-year-old man in his prime, a big old handlebar mustache. And he's saying to the men around the catapult, No, you don't want to hit the fucking statues, you want to hit the keep. What are we even paying you people for? He turns around and he sees you, and he's sort of go wide-eyed. Oh, Lord Knight!
How goes the siege?
Oh, terrible. These people can't hit anything, really, but... Well, I don't know if it'll matter much longer. You heard what Lord Giles said.
No, sorry, I missed it.
Well, the assault's slated for tomorrow. Giles and the rest of the Vanguard. Well, sorry, you know that. I'm sure you'll be going in as well, with that fancy armor.
Yes, of course.
So, anyways, the Knights and Lord Giles will be charging the summit. You should speak with him. You'll likely want to be updated on the battle plan before it happens.
Yes, where is he?
He points in the direction, and you can see there's nothing in that direction other than, a couple of tents and braziers of soldiers drinking, but he points he's seeing something, and he says, over in the direction of his pavilion. I think they're planning the final details of the assault at the moment.
Thank you. And I'll head off that direction, I suppose?
Yeah. It kind of loads around you. Is the best way to describe it. As you clip-clop forward, tents sort of appear through the fog, and palisades appear around you. And the large swooping roof of a pavilion swoops around you as well. And over there, as you look inside the tent, you only see knight-like figures. All of them wear fine armor, mostly bronze or iron that's held together by straps, but all of them have these glowing prismatic eyes, where it's every single color. You can imagine 1/8 of the eye is red, 1/8 of the eye is blue, that sort of thing. And they're all sitting around a table. The problem is that all the terrain here, the tents, none of them have detail. It's always just silhouettes. So for the map and whatever they're looking at on the table, you just see these sort of haze of fog. And one of the knights at the edge of the tent, who was sort of listening, he will walk over the edge of the pavilion, and he sees you approach and says, Hello?
Hello, apologies. I seem to be late.
I don't recognize you.
Yeah, sorry. Called up at the last minute.
He seems he seems a lot more suspicious of you than the run-of-the-mill soldiers, but he'll step to the side. And you in any, if this were an actual war camp, the idea of like just walking into a pavilion on horseback would be weird as fuck. But you seem to do it, and they don't even notice the horses. And Lars and Professor Pushton sort of crowd behind you, and you can see one of the figures who. Each of these looks as they died as well. Many of them in battle, like 80% of them in battle. The ones that didn't die in battle are either old men, and then there's one, and he looks like a young man. He looks like 17, 18 maybe, prismatic glowing eyes. He has the finest armor in the room. It's still not as good as yours, but it's made out of like iron sheets hammered together and fitted pretty well into sort of like a lamellar armor where it's like stacked on top of one another. And he's talking to those at the table and says, "And that is when I and the other knights will lead the central spear. We will break down the gate to the hall, charge inside. It is likely that King Aethwen is there, along with his sorcerers. I believe Mortimer is somewhere to the east, lost in those mountains, and Athelstan is still to the south. I'm sure that their surrenders will be acquired soon enough. Then, I will battle King Aethwen. If he has even a single shred of honor, he will engage me in single combat. I'm sure his men will surrender when they see their lord struck down." And there are some quibbles with the plan, like, oh, well, maybe we should have the standard infantry follow us in, or maybe we position the archers on this ridge as we storm the actual battlements. But by and large, everyone seems agreed to this general stratagem of just fucking charging into the fort and killing everything.
What a good strategy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay, well then, if you say nothing, then the meeting will break. The corpses, the shadowy, foggy corpses will stream past you. The tent begins to sort of empty until it is just the young 17-year-old lad and 2 or 3, sort of bored-looking bodyguards on the edge of the chamber. All of them have died in battle as well. And the young man sort of glances up at you. "Hello?"
My king? I just arrived.
Not a king yet.
You will be soon.
True enough. True enough. Do I know you?
I don't believe so. No. We've never met.
Oh? That's fine armor you have.
Yes, I'm somewhat of a skilled blacksmith.
Oh.
Personal style. How do you plan on defeating our honorable foe?
Well, Lady Kalana has granted enchantments on my sword. Despite his powerful magics, I think King Aethwen will die just like any other man with these enchantments.
Are you surely confident that he will fight with honor?
Perhaps not. I'm not. You said you just arrived, so you've not been here for the touch-and-go nature of this campaign. But he's quite flighty. But once backed in a corner, I think you have no choice but to fight me.
Or you have him backed, and your advisors are right. It may not be a bad idea to go in there with a backup plan of some kind.
What am I supposed to fear? Death? Lady Kalana will bring me back.
You can get overconfident with magic like that. Remember that there's always a chance you can't bring it back.
Maybe.
You should always have a backup plan.
Either way, the will of his mongrel army has been broken. Already they turn against his soldiers. The southern hills have been surrounded. Whatever stragglers are there will soon surrender. His wizard to the east in that laboratory of his is holding out against a spear of men, but I'm sure he'll come to our side soon enough. So, everything's fallen apart for King Aethwen. The what?
Laboratory in the east.
Yes.
What's that?
His wizard, Mortimer, is holed up inside. I'm sure my men will break through eventually. The problem is the traps, the golems, and those abominations of theirs. You've been lucky that you could just got here.
The Raven people.
No, not those. The foot soldiers have already defected. No, they're like ogres with beaks. They're not a threat to me or any of the other paladins, but against the foot soldiers, I've seen them tear through half a platoon.
And, I think I lost my way in the fog Okay, I managed to get here. Where exactly in the island is this located?
Right now, we're at the northern mountains, near the center of them. That river that you passed on your way to the camp, that's the Rorana.
Alright.
You're joining in on the assault, right? I assume that's why
I
your
don't
lord
see why
sent you?
not. Use all the help you can get.
Yeah, very true. His sorcerers will not be easy.
No, they will not.
And he will return to staring at the map, and the professor will sort of tug on your uniform and say, "This is all a bit too strange for me. Is there any way we can get back to the woods?"
This is very odd. I'd like to see how it plays out.
All right. And the professor's going to start crowding closer to you, Lars. He thinks Maximus is going a bit off the deep end. He wants you to protect him.
Okay.
And I'll get back on the horse and kind of just...
Yeah, the sounds around you shift and transition. And it is the sounds of a colossal engagement. And as the camp fades behind you, the next scene that sort of emerges from the fog is one of immensity. You can see from basically to the edge of the horizon, all just with these shadowy silhouettes battling. And it looks like an upward hill. Basically, an army is charging up a hill through arrow fire and sorcery raining down, fire plumes descending from the sky, even meteors coming from the heavens to slam against the assaulting forces. However, many meteors are shot out of the air. Charging forces have shields protecting them from arrow fire. And then at the front of the army, 9 little pinpricks of prismatic light charging up a slope and annihilating anything in their path. It's all far off, like you're an observer on a distant slope watching this battle unfold beneath you.
Watch it for a while.
The main armies, if they were fighting, it probably would have been a fair engagement, but those 9 prismatic warriors are literally instantly annihilating anything in their path, and so they carve a hole straight through the center of the defending forces, which largely seem human as far as you can tell. These are like human silhouettes. You're not seeing like some crazy shit. And then as a sort of large, it looks almost like a door, is breached and shatters inward, the fog fades, and you begin to see the outlines of trees around you, and you begin to hear the cawing of crows.
Walk towards the trees.
Yeah, a normal tree emerges from the mist. In fact, it's not just a normal tree. It's your shit tree. The tree that you shit on while you guys are camped out here in the woods.
Ah, we appear to be back.
The professor looks around. Do we know this isn't just another vision?
You can go poke the shit if you like, but
He walks over and then covers up his nose. Oh, I'm quite certain it's real.
right then, shall we? Well, that was interesting, if not extraordinarily helpful. Well then,
You clop around for a little bit, and it takes a while to find your camp, or where your former campsite was, because there's no longer this ring of mist like surrounding it. It is now just a part of the mist. And the thing is, it's just fog. Like, it's not some crazy like gas, so you can see a decent chunk through it. Visibility is much more limited than previously. Like, you already can think in the back of your mind, navigating through this when you're actually trying to get somewhere is going to be a fucking nightmare. But you can at least navigate back to your campsite and reset up camp if you like.
I'm going to run and pee now. I was riveted by everything that just happened.
All right. Thank you for the announcement. As you guys get back into the clearing, the professor is going to start rapidly jotting stuff down. So you said King Eighth went. Like
yes.
Lars said, that's likely the Raven Tyrant. And then a wizard named Mortimer in the Lumberton. It's interesting. We heard of something like that from the Mackay, didn't we?
I believe so, yes.
And 113. And he said he wasn't a king yet. That goes against the historical records we have. So strange. Well, the history indicates that the moment that he picked up the sword given to him by the Jade Lady, he was made into King Giles, the Starborn, what is it? The Star Bastard. But, well, I don't know if we can take this as a piece of religious canon, but when we just met him, he seemed like a normal young man. He also looked different to everyone else around him. And he said, Lady... What did he say? Lady... Kalana?
Alana.
Interesting. And the professor will go to where his tent was previously set up, and before even setting up his tent, he just begins to furiously scratch things down in a little notebook. And I assume you guys make camp again?
Yeah. Not much else we can do.
Fair enough. Well, in this dense fog, you can go through the rest of the day without incident. You burn through 3 more rations, and occasionally things from the fog will just apparate in the middle of your camp. It'll be like an arrow whizzes past through the fog, and at first you think someone's attacking your camp, and then you see where the arrow planted like onto the forest floor, it just sort of fades away. And little bits of those strange visions will essentially bleed into your campsite. Like around noon, a person will walk over to your fireplace, sit down, and begin to try to eat from your pot. But when he realizes that his hand can't quite grasp it because it's broken in 3 places, he will begin to scream and then disappear.
Oh.
Yeah. So other than the occasional person wandering into your campsite, it's a pretty normal day.
Yes, other than that.
And during the last day of the long rest, you help Maximus train his punch. You work on your horse riding, though. You have to really keep it like close to the campsite. You don't want to ride off into the fog and have him go through a fucking vision quest again.
Yeah, we'll teach him like dismount techniques.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. And today, at around noon. Well, actually, even the day. Actually, no. The time of day is really easy to tell because the sun would still pierce through the fog. So at around noon, you're in the process of like dismounting Lars. This is like the 17th time you practice dismounting on Mickey, trying to get down to like learn how to do speed dismounting and mounting, where it all takes less than 6 seconds. And someone enters your campsite. And it's one of those things where instantly, you're kind of on guard. It's like, we don't know whether this is a real thing or a fucking vision. Actual schizo. But then you notice the sort of strange, sort of ephemeral quality to the edge of the darkened silhouette. The person's wrapped in robes, and you hear sort of a croaking voice coming from inside. The invaders could land any minute. Why are you practicing mounting and dismounting?
Are we both there, or is it just...
Yeah, you're both there.
Oh. Never not a bad time to practice.
And you think that'll help you against the Prismatic King? You've heard what he did on his main island. When he comes here, the only thing you must do is fight and retreat. You know the orders. Now, he points at the empty fireplace. Is there anything good in that pot worth eating? There's nothing. There's no pot like in the real fireplace.
Pork. Salted. It's
All right.
classic.
It'll do. He walks over to the campfire, reaches his hand out. It's just so odd because he reaches his hand out, there's nothing there, and yet when his hand returns, he's holding a little ladle with a bit of soup in it, which he spoons into his mouth.
Oh, okay then.
I think at this point, Lars kind of just started to ignore things. Like whenever the guy was telling him like stop mounting, he just kept like mounting.
It's just like the Lurple thing. It's just
Classic,
like, I
okay.
can't deal with this
I'll go.
shit. It doesn't. It's not real.
I'll go and sit down with the guy then. I'll whip out a ration.
Yeah. You just begin to snack, and he looks over and says, "You have perfectly good food right here. Why did you eat that?"
It's something about... I know it's all going to be the same. Just take comfort in it.
Which village are you from? Which tribe?
The Mackay.
You don't look much like a Mackay. Most of your kinfolk wear bones.
No, they found me as an infant, but I've taken to talents they don't normally engage in. Made this myself.
When the Mackay were conquered, what did you do during the fighting?
I fought.
And yet here you are before me. How did you survive, King Aethwin?
as you just said, fighting and running away.
I fought in that as well. In King Aethel's van.
Really?
Yes. The burning of Stath Marak was... I'm sure it was quite traumatic for you and yours, but it was the greatest battle I've ever fought in. Either way, we're allies now. United under King Aethel. So, we'll let the past be the past.
Yes, I was rather curious about that. I was elsewhere. How did he end up making his escape?
King Aethel?
Yes.
What was there to escape from? It was your city that was burning, not ours.
Did the Prismatic King not
He
assault
raises
the
an
castle?
eyebrow. Prismatic King isn't here yet.
Oh, sorry, I must be getting confused.
He looks at you and sort of pulls back his hood. You see the face of a raven underneath it. Though when his mouth moves, it still makes human noises. Yes, you do seem confused. Well, I would say that we have clerics for you, but we don't. As long as you can hold the spear, you can get over that confusion of yours.
Well, it'll have to do. It'll have to do.
He will continue to peck occasionally at the food in the center. Whatever this raven creature is, it doesn't seem very talkative. Eventually it'll stand and sort of pull the cloak from its shoulders. Great wings will furrow out behind its back. When the Prismatic King's lands, I recommend that you play it safe.
Good idea.
His wings will flap, and in a single burst of speed, just like what happened in Red Dinium when you tried to capture that lady, in a single burst of speed, he just disappears from sight up into the fog.
Did he say when? I'm really confused. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
So he said when King. Who conquered the Mackay? Let's start there.
The Mackay were conquered first by the Raven Tyrant,
Okay.
and then
All
secondly
right. Okay.
by
And did
King
he say he
Giles.
fought? Did he say he fought in the Raven King's vanguard? Is that
Yeah.
what he said?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Okay.
I'm a bit less confused now.
All right, that's fine.
And I guess he was just willing to be like, yeah, we killed your people, but I guess you're on our side. 'Cause
Yeah,
you people
basically. yeah, we conquered you. You're now part of the kingdom. You have no choice, but hey, we're friends now.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, that was odd.
The professor, it's later in that day now. You guys are having an actual dinner. No apparitions have wandered in quite some time, and the professor looks across the campfire. Wait a minute. Why is this happening? I just thought about that.
Look to where he's looking.
He's looking at you.
Oh.
Yeah, across the campfire at you. But that's funny. I can imagine you like looking over your shoulder and then being like, "Oh, okay, yeah, he's talking to me."
Oh, me. Oh, okay.
Assuming there's something out there. That's fucking funny. Yeah, you look back across the fire at him.
I dislike magic and those who use it generally. So
No, I mean, it was just normal fog. Why is it like this? I feel like I'm going crazy out here.
it's all right, Professor. This island seems to be very old and ingrained with some not so savory magics.
Do you think it's just us? Do you think everyone else in the Isle is experiencing this? If so, how will they ever find us?
Hopefully not. But
Regardless of the situation, there's not much we can do about it, so no need.
You could try to get to
freaking
Fort
out about
Varus.
it.
See what they're
That's-
doing.
we can't get close enough to see it without putting ourselves in physical danger. No point in that.
We could go to the Mackay. They seem to have things worked out. Maybe they can fight against this fog. Anything's better than sitting here and waiting for one of these apparitions to see us as an enemy.
How would we find them?
Well, we just ride east.
And which way is east right now?
He looks up towards the
said,
sky.
He said we could see the sun.
Yeah,
We can?
The sun is low in the
Yeah.
low in the heavens right now, though, so it's not visible. And the professor looks around and says, "Oh God, we really are gonna die in these woods."
No, we're not. We're fine. We have plenty of food.
What do you mean we're fine? Where do we go? If this fog remains, what do we do?
We'll get there
For
when
now.
we get there.
We sit here and we wait.
For
How can you be
now.
so calm about this? We have no idea why this started, no idea when it'll end.
And have no idea if it'll be something that's harmful to us. So until we know otherwise, there's no point in worrying.
True.
What about when we run out of food? Then what?
We'll do something before that.
We have a lot of food.
We have a lot of food. Like, a lot of it.
He calms down a little bit, but he's still a bit
Alright.
freaked out.
It's alright, Professor. We'll be okay.
And, you drift off to sleep. You are awoken once during the night by the sound of a skirmish happening in the middle of your camp. Two, pairs of riders, what seems to be a servant of the Raven Tyrant and one of King Gile, battling in the center of your camp, firing arrows at one another before approaching with swords and swinging until the rider of the Raven Tyrant is killed, his head lopped off, and then all of it fades away. Other than that, waking you up, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Long rest, Pog?
Indeed, as the last day passes, on February 16th, you guys get your long rest.
Long rest.
Congratulations, Lars.
I get all my hit die back. Well, not all of them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have all of them now.
Oh, yeah.
All
Quick
right.
order full as well.
Hey, Archon, do I get a long rest?
Not even close. You are a full week behind these losers.
Can you put,
Losers!
You heard what I
Gore to
said.
full HP.
Yeah, I'll put Gore to full.
Wait, so you're telling me
Yes.
that it will be at least a week before I meet up with them again?
100%. Guaranteed.
So you're telling me...
I'm telling you.
You're telling me
I'm
that
telling
the people
you.
in that fort are not going to be helped by Max or Lars for a week?
Well, but not by Maximus and Lars, yeah.
Oh my god. They're gonna die.
Maybe.
Isn't that
Okay.
where Severus and Zednius are?
Yeah,
is where
but
Severus
you're
is.
assuming that they'll be able to survive without water.
Here's the thing, right? They may die. The rest of the party may be dead. The problem is that Lars and Max literally can't do anything about that because of the way that they were split off from the party. So they're staying in those woods. They're going to be in the fog, and that's just life. That's just how it is. All right, we're going to cut back to Renesmee. We need to resolve one last thing. And normally this is where we would have cut to Severus and Zednius, but since we don't have them for this week, that'll be for next time. The start of the next session.
Is that it? Is that it for us, Alex?
Yeah, it'll be Renesmee for about 10 minutes, and then we're done.
Alrighty. I'm gonna head off then.
All right, sounds good, man. I'll see you next week at
Goodbye
usual
now.
time. Oh, wait, no.
Sounds
I
good.
think it's the week after.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately.
He's on vacation.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll see you then. All right.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Peach,
Yes,
you're
Renez.
in a room in the palace in Redinium. After it takes, he said a day or two, it ends up taking 2 days. Unfortunately, the machinations of bureaucracy cannot be sped up. Even with immense effort on your part, there's simply nothing to be done. Supply forms need to be filled out, new soldiers need to be requisitioned for service, and a officer needs to be appointed to lead this expedition. All of which is dealt with in the span of 2 days. Ultimately, by the end of these 2 days, so on the 12th of February, what you now have is a marine warship filled with a total of 50 marines, 2 spellcasters, a cleric and a wizard, as well as the captain of the vessel, who's an experienced mariner. The vessel is entitled the Warspite. And technically, you are kind of its captain, though not really. You're mostly just the judge hitching a ride to Gela Isle. the Warspite is going to leave harbor on the 12th and begin to return to Gala Isle. It's a 2-day journey. You've already made this journey once, so there's not really any surprises waiting for you during the first day of the journey. In fact, for most of the journey, there's no surprises waiting. But then, on the second day, Resme, on the 14th, you come in sight of Gala Isle. You know, there's someone shouts, "Land ho!" You make your way to the top deck, look out towards the island, and most of the crew assembles on the top deck. Even people who should be working, they assemble on the top deck and look out towards the island, because you notice that the fog, which has forever hung over Gala Isle, it's denser now. It's in fact so dense you can't even see the shore in many places, just the water leading up to it. And it has this sort of greenish tinge to it. The captain of the vessel will walk over to you. Is it always like that?
I'll look out to it. No.
Do you think it's safe?
I'll look at him. I don't know. We're going into battle. Battle's not safe.
Yeah, but if it's poisonous, I don't want to send my men to certain death.
Would you like me to swim out?
You can.
Test it. Alright, how close are we?
You are, one sec. About half a mile from the shore.
So, like, if I turn into a dolphin, would I get there in like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll do that.
Alright, you leap from the deck, turn into a dolphin. As you're flying through the air, your bones lengthen and extend, your flippers form, and you rapidly travel through the water. The fog moves a little bit out onto the water by like 20, 30 feet in some places, but not far. And you are able to, on the beach, turn yourself back into Renesmee, avoiding the soaking of all your equipment. And yeah, you step up into the fog, you take in a deep breath with your lungs. They're not instantly burning. Though, you do hear this... Yeah?
Wait. I don't want to go on the beach, because then I'm going to have to wild shape again. I want to, like, get to the part of the fog that's over the water. And then just, like, put my little dolphin nose out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you
See
poke
if I
your little
die.
head up, you look around. You can hear what sounds like, in the distance, you can hear the sound of like people talking and horses whinnying. It sounds like a war camp. You're very familiar with the sound from the frontier.
And it wasn't supposed to be a war camp that I'm returning to.
No, you should just be on a random section of shore.
I will be confused. I'll, like, breathe in the fumes heavier. Do I feel anything weird?
Nope.
Assuming not.
You're fine.
Can I swim along the shore to see if I see any people?
Yeah, swimming along the shore, you see a silhouette forming in front of you. It's a silhouette of a boat docked against the shore. And slowly, the scene sort of emerges from the fog of 3 ships docked against the shore. Men piling out of them on ladders and gangplanks leading down to the thing. The ships seem to have been intentionally beached. And the soldiers are walking around laughing and joking, and a single person with prismatic glowing eyes seems to like be organizing them and saying, "All right, take off those arrow crates, swords, shields. We're gonna need all of them." And you can really only see silhouettes and hear words right now. You can't actually make out any of the details of the soldiers moving things.
Am I able to get any closer in the water?
Certainly, yeah. Once you get closer and you focus on a guy descending from one of the gangplanks with several crates in his arms, and he slowly comes into view. You're like maybe 30 feet away at this point through the fog, and you can see that his throat is split. Dried blood is like crusted around the base of his neck, and he continues to bring these crates down the steps and walk out onto the beach.
Like an injury that would like clearly be fatal.
Yeah.
I'll just watch.
Another person descends
At this point, I'm realizing that these might be ghosts.
Yeah, another person descends from the ship. He's just holding like 6 or 7 shields that are like strapped across his back and onto his arms. He has a sword embedded up to the hilt in one of his eyes, and it pokes out the back of his head. And it's a sort of procession of the dead as people climb up the ship, grab some supplies, come back down, each one of them having suffered. All of these men have died in battle. Every single one suffered a very grisly death. None of them seem to notice the dolphin just hanging out watching them.
At this point, I'll like swim a little bit further away from them, like further away
Yeah.
from them, and
They
then
fade
I will.
into silhouettes.
Yeah, I will turn into a human, and then walk towards them, I guess.
Okay, yeah, you turn into a human along the beach. You begin to walk along the shore. And once you make out their silhouettes, you hear a person shout in your direction, "Hold it there!"
I hold it.
And the silhouette grows closer and closer. You see someone with prismatic glowing eyes, all the colors of a prism, approach you through the fog. He's in sort of shambled together armor. He looks to have suffered one of the worst deaths. It looks like he was either tortured to death or something similar, because his body is covered in 1,000 different signs of injuries that could cause death, or he's mutilated after death, something like that. And he approaches and says, "You must be one of the locals."
Yes.
"Oh, then can you
Yes,
pass
I'm
along a
local.
message for me?
Yes.
Tell King Aethwin that he has one last chance to surrender. The rest of our force will be here tomorrow."
Nathan.
"Yes."
Who are you?
"I am Lord, Lancelot de Hougamont."
Your eyes are glowing.
"Why, of course. I am a chosen sword of the Jade Lady. The
And she
third
lets
knight
your
of
eyes
King
glow.
Giles. Yes, she makes my eyes glow."
What year is it?
"Well, I think you locals have a different calendar to us, so..."
What is it in your calendar, sir?
"Oh, 113, after the shattering."
Hmm.
Either way, you should pass along the message. If King Aethwin is finally willing to see the reason of our requests, become a vassal, there could be no fighting. You can save us all a large number of lives.
He will not.
How do you know?
You're not real to me. You are a ghost.
I appreciate the gesture, trying to frighten us, but it's not going to work. You can just pass along the message and move on.
I'll reach out my hand and I'll be like, perhaps I am delusional, but if you are real, may you touch my hand.
All right. And the knight steps forward. He extends his hand to touch yours, and it makes contact with you. And you feel the cold hands of a dead man.
Your hands are cold to me.
Well, I mean, it's a cold day, brisk air, and he looks up towards the sky. All you see above you is fucking fog, almost blinding the sun, but he seems to look up and see, clouds in the sky, something like that. And he says, "A chilly day. Much colder than I put on."
Can I go through my pockets and take out my pocket mirror?
Yeah, sure.
May I ask you, what do you see in this mirror? And I'll hold up the mirror, but in a way that I can see him through the mirror too.
Yeah, you hold up
I
the
extend your
mirror,
right hand.
and he looks at his face. He sees one of his eyes bulging out. He sees all of his fingernails taken off of his hands. I mean, he died via torture, so he sees a body that is broken in 1,000 different places in ways that would kill you 1,000 times over. He looks, and you see he's about to say something, but it catches in his throat. Then he falls over dead.
I'll put my hand over my mouth.
The rest of the men are
shock.
still unpacking the ships, a couple hundred feet away. None of them seem to have noticed.
I'll wave over. I'll just put my arms in the air and I'll try and wave someone down.
Yeah, you begin to put your arms in the air, and you hear one of the men from the campsite yell, "I think there's a... Oh shit. Enemy force coming in! Prepare for battle!" And as you see, arrows whizzing through the fog, the vision fades, and even the corpse in front of you merges with the fog around it.
Now, I know this is so weird, but I want to take the pocket mirror and I want to, like, look through it everywhere and see if anything else disappears.
Yeah, you spin in a 360. Unfortunately, the mirror sees the same things that you do.
So, like, the sand doesn't disappear, the trees.
Nope.
All of those things are real.
Yeah. I mean, everything's real because you saw all of it through the mirror.
Yeah.
Right? Is that how that works?
And I don't hear anything else, just that.
Not at the moment, no. Other than maybe, probably from the water, you hear someone shouting, "Lady Judge, are you all right?"
Who is that? Oh, from the water. Yes, I'll jump into the water and I'll just. Oh no, I shouldn't do that. I should dolphin swim. It's annoying. Okay, I'll dolphin swim back.
All right, you dolphin swim back, and they see a dolphin approaching their ship. They lower a rope ladder. You jump out of the water as a dolphin, turn back into a human in one smooth movement, and grab the lower part of the ladder and pull yourself up. The captain is waiting there and says, "Well, is it safe to breathe in?"
It is safe to breathe, but
All right, that's good.
it seems as though this fog is bringing back visions of times past long ago. Times when King Aelin and King Giles were still fighting in the year 113 after the Shattering.
Are you sure that the fog isn't just, well, dangerous?
What do you mean?
Well, you said you went in there and saw visions.
Do I look insane to you?
I don't think you're insane at all. I'm just asking if you think the fog may have induced these visions.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
So it is
Fog did
dangerous
induce
then.
those.
I don't want my men seeing things that aren't there.
Sir, we will go into that fog, and we will fight on that island.
He looks
Are
at
you a
you
deserter?
and looks towards the shore. Are you ordering me?
Indeed I am.
All right. Open the sails. I got another 5 miles to go to Veruzia.
Sir, I hate to order you. I wish I did not have to, but I assure you that when I was there, it did not hurt. The visions, I was able to speak with them, and perhaps, interestingly to note, once they're made aware that they are ghosts or fake, I showed them their reflection in my pocket mirror, and they all dropped dead. Does not seem as though they can really hurt us, or at least we can completely disarm them by making them aware that they are not real. We will be okay. At least as okay as we will be going into a battle.
Well, we'll see about that. And the Warspite begins to move across the water closer to Veruzia. And as it turns the corner and approaches Fort Varus and that fort comes into view, we will save that for next time, because I don't know what Fort Varus is like. Maybe it's still under Mythosian hands, maybe everyone inside is dead, who knows? Yeah, we will be picking up with Yogi and Heko 2 weeks from now. A real tragedy. They will be defending the fort, getting supplies, water, things like that. And likely the party will reunite in the second half of session from 2 weeks from now. So,
A question for you.
yeah.
What is the likelihood that they survive?
I have no idea. It depends what ideas they come up with.
Really?
I'll give them an 80%, something like that, 90%, somewhere in there.
Okay, that's good. What's the likelihood that the fort survives?
Well, if they survive, then the fort survives, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feels good,
All right.
man.
Well, I will see you guys in 2 whole weeks, unfortunately. And Dota, I'll see you. Yeah, I'll see you in a week for other campaign. And Peach, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Tomorrow,
Silhouette.
right? Do we not have a session tomorrow?
No, we don't.
We really don't.
No,
Who
it got canceled. I think it was Yogi.
Really?
Oh,
I think so.
Yogi.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys next week for viewers of the stream. Bye-bye.
Bye.